So today, Ashley's going to speak a little bit about her journey after Roger Williams and share advice for our students and alumni. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Ashley to tell us a little bit more about herself.
Well, thank you, Megan. Thank you guys for watching, tuning in. It's still a little bit surreal to me to even have an interesting enough story to get to tell, but I'll see what I can do. So I was an '09 grad with a BS in marine biology. After I graduated, I moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, where I worked at the Museum of Natural Sciences in their living collections department, taking care of their fish tanks for about a year and a half. And then I went to veterinary school at NC State College of Veterinary Medicine. When I graduated, I had a special focus in small animals and exotics. So people's pets that aren't dogs and cats, all the other weird, furry, feathered, squirrely, literally squirrels sometimes, kind of things. And then I did that for 5 years in small and like a small clinical practice. So super busy, lots of emergency, but no dogs or cats, pretty much everything else, like really almost everything else. And then just recently, I've moved into doing some mobile practice work. So right now I'm doing some end of life care and I'm starting up my own fish house call business. So coming in June, but you just can't
Exciting.
stay away from the swimmy and slimies. So
That's wonderful. Such a great opportunity ahead. And you've done such fascinating work. It's great that you're here to share some of that. So, if you think back on your Roger Williams experience, are there a few things that stick out to you that you would say has helped you in your current role from your Roger Williams days?
absolutely. One of the earlier things that I remember is when I was in veterinary school, they took time out of one of our classes to sit us down and teach us how to do a lit search. So combing through library archives and looking for articles and then learning how to critically evaluate a journal article, because in my line of work, particularly seeing exotics, we're trying a lot of new things. We're trying drugs that may not have been studied and we're trying them on, a ring-tailed lemur. And like the best paper we have is somebody tried it once on a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. You know what I mean? And so we have to kind of read that article and figure out if that works. And when we were doing that in veterinary school, I remember thinking, oh, like this is in my wheelhouse. I know how to do this. And so coming from Roger Williams, where getting the opportunity to do an undergraduate research experience, it really gave me a leg up, I think, not only in getting to go to veterinary school itself, because having that on my resume made me stand out, but also just coming in with a little bit more of a level head about how to access things like this and how to evaluate scientific research. And, it's something that I still rely on even today. If I see a weird case, I feel comfortable going and looking for something about it. I think encouraging that critical thinking skill is something that the earlier you can grasp that, the better.
Great. I know our librarian faculty will be happy to hear that.
Please thank your librarians. They work really hard.
So, if you could go back to being a college, is there any advice that you would give your college self?
um, now as far out as I am, and I think about how when I got later into Roger Williams, I got that really good kind of base humanities knowledge, right? Like I got my core classes in and I got some exposure to philosophy and writing and languages and stuff like that. I would have loved to have had more time to have done more of that too, because I love science. I'm a science nerd to the core, like I love learning science and I love communicating science, but getting the opportunity to have done a little bit more of that, I think would have been really fun. And so encouraging particularly students now just to keep your horizons broad. And if you think you're interested in something, try it out, because college is the time to figure out what you like and what you think you're good at. And the other thing is just to, I guess I would tell myself just to keep fostering that sense of being passionate about science, because that's been one of the biggest things that's been just through my life as like a grown up, like just staying excited about what I'm doing and getting good at communicating it's been a strong thread all the way through. So just to keep fostering that.
Like the lifetime of learning.
That's right. Especially as a vet. I mean, I have to do a certain number of hours every year of continuing education. And so when you sign up to be a vet, you are signing up to be a lifetime learner if you want to keep your license. And so just finding ways to keep yourself passionate about what you're doing, I think is an important skill to develop as soon as you can.
That's great. And so, if a current student or an alum is interested in pursuing your career choice, what specific advice would you share?
So it's tough to be a veterinarian right now. It's tough. It's hard to get into veterinary school. It's hard to stay in veterinary practice because people use the internet against you sometimes. They weaponize it. And one of my good friends is dealing with it right now. She's like in the middle of a hailstorm of somebody who's angry and is like making TikTok videos about her and stuff. And so unfortunately, having a little bit of a tough skin and knowing who you are, I think is really important if you're going to become a vet, because you have to be able to look inside yourself and say, hey, you know what? I know my stuff. I know I'm a good vet. I know I care about this, and I can keep doing this through any storm. And unfortunately, the other thing I would tell people about looking into becoming a veterinarian is that the path is pretty expensive. It's an advanced doctoral degree, and so um, the funding isn't always as available as it would be for an undergraduate student. And so preparing for debt and thinking about that, I think, is really important, having just a financial sense of what you're getting into. And of course, like it's a lot more than petting puppies, and in my case, like holding adorable baby bunnies, but there's a good amount of that too. So it's still
Right.
really fun, and there's still a lot of baby bunnies. So
Good mix. And
right.
definitely some solid advice for someone that's considering it.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, definitely. And so, what skills would you say that you use daily or often enough that maybe you just didn't think of learning or practicing when you were a college student?
So going into the sciences, I wish I had done better in stats. Like I wish that I had kept more of stats in my head, because now doing more research and, trying to look down in the long career path for me that hopefully one day will include teaching, it's important that I have some stats experience. And so I'm relearning that. And it's through no fault of my professor. It's through just, I really wanted to be doing the biology stuff, and stats, I wish I'd practiced more. And then the basic stuff, like time management. It is college is so fun, and you're meant to grow socially and educationally at the same time. And so I think I did pretty well, but like, now I have 3 kids and I'm building a practice, and like those time management skills are getting pushed to the brink. And so, setting down a good foundation of that, I think, is smart.
That's great. Um, so, when you think about your career, and I know that you've had different areas of practice, and it sounds like even more are coming along. And so, if you can tell us a little bit more about why you enjoy your career so much, and maybe there's a significant moment in your career, a special story, or something that you want to share.
I love being a veterinarian. I love it. And I have loved every iteration of being a vet that I've experienced so far. And, for me, what I love the most is getting to be outside and getting to be back near the water, which is why I'm really excited to be going back to doing some of these like pond house calls and fish tank calls and stuff. But for me, it's the greatest joy is that finding that puzzle piece, so like sitting there and thinking and racking my brain to the deepest back of like the Rolodex that I can, and trying to access all of this information and trying to help, like, is so motivating for me. But it comes with a lot of like humor and weird stuff too. Like I got exposed to radiation when I was in veterinary school because a client had thyroid treatment, and then she got sick, and so I had to deal with that. And then like there was that time that a lemur got loose in the radiology room that I was in, and I had to catch a lemur with like this big net. And I
Right.
mean, a couple of weeks ago I was at an appointment, and I was doing some end of life care for a family, and I was outside just giving them some time, and I kind of just felt like I was being watched. And I turned around, and there's just a peacock in the middle of super rural North Carolina, and it's just like staring at me. And I've had enough peacock experience to know that I needed to be like kind of aware, because they're dinosaurs. They're totally dinosaurs. And, thankfully he was fine. He behaved himself. But like,
Friendly peacock.
I get to build a lifetime of weird stories like that. Like a guy who brought in a puffer fish in this huge, gigantic bucket, and we ended up not having good news for him. And he cried while he like literally got himself soaking wet petting this puffer fish because he loved it so much. And like I'm so privileged that I get to have just a lifetime of weird, crazy experiences like that. So it's every day is different, which is the most fun. Like,
Oh, I love those stories. And being in alumni relations, of course, I always am so proud and supportive of our alumni. And our alumni are strong and supportive of one another and spread across the whole globe. And I'm wondering if there's anything in your career or life where maybe you leaned on a Roger Williams mentor, or maybe even within your own colleague or friend group that has really played a role in your life.
Well, I mean, I lean on one literally every day because I married one. So I had my first date with my husband in the cafeteria. Like he took me to brunch one morning after the radio's 80s dance, actually. And we started dating and did 2 years of college together, and we took our senior core like seminar class together. And it's 13 years later, and we have 3 little kids and a whole life together. But I think about how crazy that is, that like I get a little verklempt about it sometimes, like so many wonderful things in my life are because I went to Roger Williams, like, my kids and my husband and my life. It's amazing. Our initials are written in a little heart on one of the I-beams in the upper right corner of the Global Heritage Hall. So when they were building it and they had people sign the I-beam, like somewhere in the upper right corner, there's like a GE and an AD and a little heart up there. So like, that's a part of the fabric of our whole story. And another alumni got ordained to marry us at our wedding, and he and his wife just moved 4 minutes down the road. So that's amazing. Like we have a text chat with our friends that we talk on like a couple times a week. And it's just, you're right. Like we're spread out all over the whole place, but you find your people, I think, at Roger Williams. And I think I found my people. So.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. And I'm in GHH now, so I'm gonna have to check out
that upper right corner. Like
keep my eye out for it. I love it. And thinking about Roger Williams, and just you just kind of mentioned how the friend group and your husband and everything just came to be. But if you had to name like maybe a favorite memory or hangout or something about Roger that you missed, what would it be?
Oh, I think just getting to live by the water, like getting to wake up and see Mount Hope Bay every day. And, for me being in marine biology, getting to go down there and like literally flip rocks and look at what I found underneath, like that accessibility to science was so fun. And I love being by the water. And when I was there, I'm trying not to date myself, but when I was there, the Red Sox won the World Series and the fountain had just been built.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were the class that ran up the hill from Bayside and jumped in the fountain.
So were you the first class?
We were the first fountain jumping class. Yes. Proud member of the fountain jumping class. And
I did it because the tradition continues.
Does it really?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, it's things like that. And then also just, getting to be so close to people that I really cared about, so professors that I loved and friends that I loved. And, it's such a really amazing little bubble of time in your life that you get to be so close to all these people that you really love and care about. And that was so fun too. Like I had a great time educationally and socially. Like I said, it was awesome.
That's great. And so I'll just ask you one more question, and that is there anything else you'd like to share that maybe we haven't touched on before our time is up?
I wanted to share that I think about my professors in the marine biology department all the time. Like when I think about what I want to be when I grow up, still, like it's being somebody like Paul Webb, you know what I mean? Like teaching an animal behavior class, and we got like halfway down the final, and there was this question that said, when you get here, don't say anything out loud, but come to the front of the class and demonstrate the honeybee waggle dance. And it's like dance that bees use to communicate where the good pollen is. And I just was like, God, this is so cool. Like I can communicate science and talk to people and get people excited and still do silly stuff like this. And, I think honestly, some part of that has just been a guiding light in who I want to be, as I get older and what I want to do, and, hopefully teach one day and be that person to somebody else. Like it's amazing the access to these amazing faculty members that you guys have. Like they're pretty incredible. I still am a Paul Webb fangirl. Like I still love him. I think he's the coolest. Like,
I'm sure he's gonna be so happy when he sees
he's probably gonna be like, who was that lady? Like
no. No. Thank you so much, Ashley. It was such a great chat to catch up with you and to hear how far you've come and so much more to go. You have such exciting things on the horizon, and it always makes me so happy and proud to connect back with our alums. I really appreciate your time today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Like I said, Roger Williams, I feel like I owe so much of my life to. And if I can make y'all proud, then I think I'm doing okay. So thank you.
Excellent.